Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jamie.
I'm Justina.
And this is Just So You Know. Today we are going to be talking about greenwashing and how the meat and dairy and egg industries lie to us.
Liar!
Liar! And they are going to be called out for their nonsense. We have a special guest coming on.
We do.
Miss Jane Velez-Mitchell.
Near and dear. She is the face, the creator of Unchained TV, and we'll get into all of the amazing work that she's doing.
She is also a former CNN host, and she is an author of some of the best-selling books out there. And Jane has lived many lives.
Literally, we always find out more things about her as per conversation we have.
So today we really want Jane to tell all.
She's the one being interviewed today.
Starting with, what is her favorite sex position?
Whoa, she went there.
No. Well, maybe we'll get into that. But before we do, we're going to be talking to her about the media and how the media controls the mind. And who better to ask than Miss Jane Velez-Mitchell?
Right.
But before we get into that, how have you been, Miss Justina Adorno?
I'm okay. On the way over here, I met this woman who had me in tears talking about her daughter's freaking death. I mean, every time I talk about when people are like, how are you? What's going on? I can't help but to be so honest. And the shit that I get myself around, I'm like, I don't believe it either.
So wait, back up. You met this woman on the train who told you about her daughter's death.
Yes, it spiraled. She saw the painting. She was like, oh, so sweet. And then she was like, her daughter was in school. She was a teacher. And then she was like, and my daughter passed away. And I was like, wait, hold up. Oh. What? When? How? And I'm an actor. So when she was telling me the story, I was like, girl, this is not adding up. And she was like, right? And then she was telling me all these different things. And it's been less than a year. And I was like, the system is corrupt.
Okay.
It's literally not for the people. And it was just horrible. Of course, I cried. I felt so awful. It was really, really sad, honestly.
Jesus.
I was like, this is why I cannot have a kid. Because I would be like, oh, hi, everyone.
You put on your little investigation cap. You're like, where was your daughter at 6:30 a.m.?
Oh, yeah. I was asking her all the questions. I was like, this is like a script. I said, unfortunatamente, this is a TV show. I was like, boyfriend, school, friends, all nobody is innocent. And then the reason why her ex-boyfriend found out is because the dog was taken to the shelter by the cops and he had a tag. So he was like, why is a dog in the shelter? And then
God.
I was like, damn. You got me fucked up
this
today.
Is heavy.
You got me. That's why I have my glasses because my face is extra puffy. I was crying. I was like, you done found the right person to listen to you because I'm was like this. I was like,
I'm glad that you made a friend on the train.
I did. I was like, follow me at Justina.
I made a friend walking here. I had my headphones on and I was strutting down the 34th Street and this guy I didn't realize was walking alongside me.
Oh,
and
stalker?
Yes. And I turned to my left and I'm like, hello? And he was just sort of
you felt him?
I felt his energy and he started saying something to me, but I was like, I can't hear you. Because I had my headphones on and he was trying to go in for a hug.
No.
And I'm like, no, I don't want a hug from you. And then I kind of crossed to the other side of the street and I was watching him and he was trying to give somebody else a hug.
No, girl.
Definitely unstable, but
you're nice to even be like, I can't hear you. If my headphones are on, and I'm feeling your creepy-o vibes, I'm like, you do not exist. Because you never know. You could turn your face and they hit you. Yeah. Or throw something at you. Or throw their pee from a bottle that they have. It's New York. It's all possible.
Anything could happen, really. And when we think about the crazy things that happen each day, a lot of it doesn't even get reported by the media.
No, it doesn't.
So it's we are so controlled as a society just based on what we're seeing online and on the news. But really, what's kind of interesting that social media has brought to the table is it allows stories to be seen and told that may otherwise never have seen the light of day.
100%.
I followed this page on Instagram called Coronavirus New York, and they post a lot of animal cases on there where like a neighbor will film a dog getting like kicked down the stairs or something. And what's interesting is like people actually will show up to this place and have a word with the person.
Yeah, everybody's like, we got the gang on over. Bop, bop, bop.
Rally the troops.
Exactly.
You know?
It's crazy. It's because we trust the media so much. Like, we'll see, like, oh, like, for example, that poor woman, they told her what happened, and that's what it is.
To her daughter.
About her daughter. And even though you know inside, like, something is wrong, or, like, we'll read this and we're like, oh, grass-fed. Got it. They must be living the best lives. And it's like, why do we just, like, instantly trust what we are being like quite literally brainwashed with? And it's like, I'm happy. I'm going to keep talking about it because of the climate of what's happening in our world right now. I'm glad people are questioning these facts that are being told by authorities and like labels. They're like, wait a minute. Is this really organic? And what does organic actually mean? And so on and so forth.
And it's interesting because the people that do question things are called conspiracy theorists. And then the people that are, I don't know, challenging the system are are the crazy ones. And like from a young age, we are told that you need milk for strong bones. We are told that you have to eat meat and this is just the way it is. And so I wonder what it is that gets people to think outside the box, to start questioning things. And to not always trust the labels, because there have been many undercover investigations that look into these things and show actually free range doesn't really mean much for the animals.
Right.
Cage free doesn't mean much at all.
Exactly.
So I think these labels just try to make us feel better about our decisions and keep us comfortable in the status quo.
Yeah, keeps you robotic. Oh, take it. Oh, yep. Okay, cool. Totally. It's kind of crazy. I'm so grateful that like I read beyond the labels and just question everything now. I mean, I've always been a questioner, but like reading labels and like trying to understand what it is that is being sold to me. So grateful. I can't even believe there was a time that I didn't do it.
Well, I want to hear from Jane to actually ask about somebody that worked in the news and to hear specifically about how maybe stories are turning around a little bit, how some things aren't covered because we don't want to go there, just so you know. So without further ado, let's bring on our guest, Miss Jane Velez-Mitchell. Jane!
Hi!
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Madame.
Comment ça va?
Comment ça va? Ça va?
Yes.
Ça va bien.
Wow, multilingual over there.
I am. I speak gibberish too, by the way.
Stop.
Isn't that Pig Latin?
It's Pig Latin, yeah.
It's called gibberish, people.
Oh, she's too young. Exactly.
Hey, there you go. Well, Jane, we are so grateful to have you on today because not only are we going to have you decode some of the gibberish just in our own languages, but the gibberish that we see online.
Ooh, that's good.
And in the media. Thank you. I just whipped that around out of my behind.
Whoa, what else are you whipping out of your old behind? I'm just kidding.
Do you want to know?
Whoa, no, I don't.
I'm sorry, Jane. So what made you go vegan?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was very fortunate to grow up in a mostly pescatarian household in Midtown Manhattan. I grew up across the street from Carnegie Hall. And my dad was Irish and he was a meat eater. And my mom was Puerto Rican and she was very avant-garde, doing yoga in the 40s. And basically had abandoned meat, and my dad kind of went along with her when they got married. So we kind of thought we were vegetarians, but we weren't. We ate fish, we ate eggs. There was dairy in the household, although they weren't big dairy. They didn't know how to cook. We went out to dinner every night, basically. My mother was in showbiz. She was the last of the vaudeville performers, Latin jazz troupe. And my dad was an advertising executive. So they were very glamorous. They went to a lot of parties. And food wasn't really that much of a consideration at
They were
all.
like, we're not eating. We don't eat.
Exactly. Let's dance. They were great dancers, and that was sort of their focus and what they had in common. And so I was on the journey. We didn't have meat inside the house, although we did have fish, which is a form of meat, and eggs and dairy. But, at least I was aware that these animals don't fall from trees. I was very conscious at a young age. So I'm very grateful to them. And then as I went out on my journey as a journalist, working all over the country, ultimately I was at Paramount Studios, where I was a local news anchor here in Los Angeles, and a guy named Howard Lyman walked in. He was the fourth generation cattle rancher who had turned against his industry. He was very sick. He made a pact with God: if you get me out of this surgery alive, I will reveal the horrors of the meat industry. He went on Oprah, and Oprah heard the information and said, that just stopped me cold from eating another burger. The cattleman sued Oprah, and he became famous for a short period of time. Howard Lyman, the mad cowboy. And I interviewed him. And after I did the interview, his publicist and Howard walked up to me and they said, we hear you're a vegetarian. And I said, yes. They said, do you eat dairy? And I kind of hung my head because he had just described the horrors of the dairy industry. And I said, yes. And they went like this: liquid meat, right at my nose, liquid meat. That was the moment I went vegan, and I've never looked back. So when people say, don't confront people, be gentle, do it all on their terms. The clock's ticking. We're barreling toward a climate apocalypse. Billions, more than 85 billion animals are being systematically tortured and killed in factory farms and concentrated animal feeding operations every year. We can't afford to just, our house is on fire. Yeah. Okay. We can't afford to just politely say, hey. So I'm so glad he confronted me about my hypocrisy, because of course I thought of myself as an animal lover and all that. And I never looked back. Your taste buds go back to their factory settings after about 30 days. And I used to love Parmesan cheese, and somebody put it in my salad and I went, ugh, what is that?
Right.
Because I had basically cleared out my detox. Yeah. Exactly. So that was about 28 years ago, and the rest is history.
Oh my God. I didn't know that story of yours or your parents' history. This explains so much. Yeah. And I love it. I freaking love it. What an amazing woman your mother was.
Oh, she was great. And on Unchained TV, I do have a documentary about her called Anita Velez Dancing Through Life. Oh. While she wasn't a vegan per se, she was very vegan-ish, almost vegan. But she just didn't have, you remember, that terminology is very new.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she is my inspiration, and the inspiration for Unchained TV, the world's only free, nonprofit, vegan, streaming television and fast channel network.
Yes, download that right now. You can actually watch Jamie and I's first episode of our reality TV show called Green Goddesses. All thanks to Jane on Unchained TV.
And it's a great eco-reality series. You guys are so good in it, and you got to see it, honestly. You can watch it on your phone. Just download Unchained TV on your phone. You can watch it on your TV with streaming devices. You can watch it online at unchained.tv. Check it out. These two girls, women, are so charismatic on camera. It's unbelievable. And really they take it all off.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten sick of us, just watch another platform of us being ourselves. Well, Jane, we have so many questions because we can kiki all day, but we want to use your knowledgeable brain. So our next question is, when you analyze the meat industry's public messaging, what stands out to you the most as the most effective strategy that they use to shape consumers and how they feel about their products?
Well, what happened was in 2019, Beyond Meat went public, and it was the most successful IPO, initial public offering, in years. And it scared the wits out of the meat industry. And they decided, they got together, let's declare war on meat alternatives specifically. So they came up with this word, ultra processed, even though most products that are ultra processed have dairy in them.
Right.
And we can all go into a 7-Eleven or any other convenience store and see all these products that are not vegan, that are ultra processed. They decided to try to attach the word ultra processed to Beyond Meat specifically, because if you think about the word Beyond Meat, it really says, hey guys, you guys are destined for the history books. We're the new way of eating those burgers that Americans love. So it really freaked them out. And they declared war specifically on veggie burgers, describing them as ultra processed, when basically it's a bunch of peas and a few other vegetables mushed up. And the new Beyond Meat burgers are endorsed. They have a certification of the American Heart Association. They're totally healthy for you. You could eat veggie burgers, day and night. You're not going to get sick, because processed meat is officially cancer causing. That's hot dogs, that's bacon, that's pastrami, that's all those things. It is like, would you feed your kids cigarettes? No, but people are shoving these hot dogs down their kids' throats and thinking they're doing a good thing because the media does not report it. I was in the media for 37 years, okay? Mainstream media. I worked at most of the big networks, here and there over the course of the years, having my own shows, hosting, anchoring, reporting, etc. Nobody has to come and knock on your door and say, hey, look at those ads on TV. Don't do anything to upset those advertisers. Anybody can do the math. If most of your commercials are big pharma and big meat in the form of fast food and pharmaceuticals, you're not going to go after those industries. And so that's pretty much what's happening. The media, the advertiser-based media, has their blinders on, and they are not looking at the number one cause of the health problem. And we've got a great documentary on Unchained TV called How Not to Die, based on the best-selling book by Dr. Michael Greger. It really explains very simply why we're having skyrocketing rates of dementia, skyrocketing heart disease, colorectal cancer in younger and younger people. It's diet, and it's meat, specifically meat and dairy. And he explains it. So I would urge you to watch How Not to Die.
I'm super curious, when you were at the studios and you had your animal segment, were you ever told to not say certain things, or did somebody get mad at you for bringing up what actually happens to animals?
Well, what happened was I started after Howard Lyman and that experience. I started becoming aware. It's almost like being born again. I'm also 30. Well, knock on wood, in April 1st, April Fool's Day, very appropriate day, I will be 31 years sober. So
amazing. Congratulations.
I feel like I was born again when I got sober. And, they say the only thing that has to change is everything. And that's kind of true when you go vegan. I feel like I was born again when I went vegan, because I started seeing the world through a whole new set of glasses. And I'll never forget, I was in the studio, a local news studio on famed Paramount Studios, and I saw glue traps, and I started thinking, wait a second, those little animals are going to get trapped in there. They're going to starve to death. They can't pull their legs out. So I started removing all the glue traps. Somebody came up to me and said, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm removing the glue traps. These are torture devices. See, those are the kinds of interactions I immediately started to have with people, because I was seeing the world through a whole new set of glasses. And so that's what happens. It's not a sacrifice. Anybody who is pre-vegan who's watching this, please know it's not a sacrifice. It is a joyous transformation to a higher state of consciousness and living that we're all going to have to experience. Otherwise, our planet is going to die. I just finished a documentary that Jamie Logan's in called The Climate Healers, which really is looking at the number one solution to climate change that is being completely ignored by the government, which has been co-opted by the meat and dairy industry, by the United Nations, which has been co-opted by the meat and dairy industry, by all the NGOs and the so-called, some of them are waking up. I'm very happy to say I'm involved with LA Climate Week, and it's plant-based by default, which is a wonderful step forward, really opening the door, not in a you got to do this, but inviting people.
Right. And giving them knowledge about it. That's amazing. I feel like this year, for some reason, I feel like this is a year of like immense change. Like people are starting to go, you know what? I'm going to look into all the other BS that's being fed to me. So question, Jane, what criteria do you believe should be determined whether companies can use those type of labels to greenwash? And like, do they currently have standards that reflect that? Like, are there certain things that they need to be having put in place to use those greenwashing labels?
Yeah, like can the word humane or sustainable ever be used?
Yeah,
for
like
meat, dairy, or egg
right,
products?
like it's not humane. So like, how are they getting away with it? Like,
Well, look, Direct Action Everywhere, which is a very youth-oriented, dynamic, and aggressive, but in a very nonviolent way, organization based here in California, just published an interactive map showing more than 1,300 factory farms in California and containing something like 80 million animals or more. It's really, really shocking when you see it. And then you can use Google Maps to go down and actually go right to the real locations. So it's a myth buster because people in California, we've passed Prop 2 and Prop 12, which are supposed to ensure the humane treatment of animals in factory farm production. But the trouble is nobody's enforcing it. There's never been an enforcement, to my knowledge, of either of these propositions that were passed overwhelmingly by California voters.
dang, that's so
So
true. I
they
never thought
say
about that.
free range and they say access to outdoors, and it's like a little hole and none of the chickens get out there. And so, you have to be very skeptical of labels. And I remember this is all the supermarkets, okay? It's not like, oh, well, if I go to this place and pay more money. No, the truth is, none of us needs to eat animal products. Okay, we don't need to eat meat. We don't need to eat eggs. We don't need to drink the breast milk of another species or cheese from the breast milk of another species. Now, I know cheese was a big roadblock for a lot of people. Now there's incredible vegan cheeses. I just got back from Expo West, and there are so many vegan products. I actually walked into Expo West 2026 with trepidation because of the war that the meat industry is waging on plant-based products. And I thought, oh, is this going to be some kind of carnival festival? No, there were, cattle, blah, blah, blah. But there were so many vegan products. I was very inspired. And so we went to so many booths like Elmhurst, which used to be a dairy with cows that has turned 100% plant-based and their sales are through the roof. Oatly, right? Oatly and super cool. I mean, they come up with these amazing products like popcorn creamer, because one of the vice presidents there explained to me, the younger demographic cares just as much about how that container looks with their outfit on social media as anything else. So he said, we're kind of a Trojan horse. We make these really creative brands and then they taste so good and they're so interesting. People are grabbing them, not because they're plant-based, ethical, better for the planet, better for their health, better for animals, but because they're super cool.
Because they're pretty. That's so true. That's another part of like the advertising.
marketing.
It's just like marketing. It's like it needs to look pretty. I'm definitely a victim of that. I'm like, that looks nice. What is this? It obviously has to be vegan.
I want to add on to that real quick. And I think that when we talk about marketing and what things look like, it kind of goes to show that like this imagery of the cow in a pasture or a hen that's on grass, it shows that the industries can see that people do gravitate more towards those type of things. And that's why they play off of it. It's not like human beings are evil and they're like
titty milk from an abandoned mother with pus.
They're like, chain up the cows.
Yeah, and then you see,
No,
exactly.
Instead, they create these terms and make these cartoon images of cows running through the grass because they know that people would prefer that over not. And so it's almost playing on consumers' good nature and tricking them into believing that there's something ethical that happens in this process.
did a good job. This is grass-fed,
Right.
Yeah, but combined with people wanting to believe. We want to believe the myths because it's easier than changing our habits. And yeah, I mean, that's part of it. There is a responsibility on the part of consumers to do their homework and to not just buy anything that anybody says because that's convenient. And I think we all fall victim to that. I mean, I can't say, and that's why I don't like to point the finger. None of us is perfect. I can't say that every single product I buy, I'm doing deep research on it.
Right.
But just in general, consumers need to know if you see any kind of humane labeling on an animal product, it is almost certainly, and I could say with 99.9999% certainty, false, because none of these animals are having good lives in these factory farms, and 99% of all animal products come from factory farms.
And they're killed.
Okay?
Yeah, they're not consenting their lives in order for you to enjoy.
They are killed at the end of the day.
Exactly.
They're not dying of old age, and they're not making love. Women, feminists, take note. They're not making love on these factory farms. They're all forcibly inseminated. With a guy sticking his fist into their body parts with semen, and that is rape. And there's even a term called rape rack in the industry where they do this. So if you're a feminist, you shouldn't be partaking in any animal products because rape is rape. That's the fundamental premise of feminism.
The farm workers sometimes rape the animals themselves too.
Literally
There's a
rape
lot
them.
of bestiality. It's
Look,
very
here's
common.
the thing. I feel sorry for the workers in these situations.
What?
They're
Sometimes.
They're from the lowest rung of society. They have very little choice.
Like they have a choice to not stick their penis
That
in an
part is
animal.
different.
No,
The
but
raping
come
stuff
on,
is
come
different.
on.
The hitting,
Let's
raping.
not denigrate all the workers.
It's different,
who are trapped in these situations,
Right.
where they have no choice about what job they're going to have. They experience higher rates of alcoholism, drug abuse, domestic violence, physical illness from carpal tunnel syndrome, killing every day. It's there, and a lot of them, some of them have just been released from prison. They have no other job option. We have to be compassionate to the people trapped in the system. They're trying to increase the speed lines. I just got an email. I could be doing news reports every second of the day, which I try to do, but we're not as large as some of the major networks, obviously. Although some people think we are.
You are.
We have a post office box that shows a building, and people think that's our building, and I just laugh
You're
hysterically.
like, it is.
The point is that the government is trying to increase the slaughter speed lines, which is absolutely horrific for the animals who are already, quite often going into these death moments fully conscious because of the speed of the operation, the industrialization of the killing of these animals. But it's also horrible for the workers. The workers, and I got 2 emails, one from a workers' rights group and one from an animal rights group wanting to talk about it. I'm trying to fit it in. We could be talking about this issue 24/7, 365, but the tragedy is that the mainstream media doesn't talk about it. And when they do it in such a slanted fashion that it's almost better that they didn't talk about it. In fact, there's a group called Veg Media Watch that is calling out hit pieces on veganism, hit pieces that are denigrating animal rights. So go to vegmediawatch.org and get involved. And, the reporters watch that, because I was a reporter for many years. No reporter wants to get called out publicly about their reporting being inaccurate or slanted.
Like an example of this is a journalist will write an article about how vegan babies die because they're not getting enough nutrition. And it's like, this is totally skewed and slanted. Like, you're not looking actually at the facts and the data, and maybe this mother was not feeding her child.
Right. And people love to jump on that to make excuses as to why they are resisting the veganism lifestyle. Like, I have a friend who, she's like, I love animals. And I couldn't help but to get defensive because I was like, I love animals. You like them. I love them. And she was like, Justina, you can't say that. And I'm like, yes, I can. Because you were saying that you were trying to be vegan and then you were feeling sick. And you're like, but I get cage-free eggs. And I'm like, babe, look at these freaking videos. You don't understand what that means. And it's like, but then you don't want me to show you it. So you're choosing to use these labels to comfort yourself as opposed to saying, you know what? I am being selfish right now, and I'm allowing the government to condition me to make me feel better instead of seeing everyone's hard work showing you what's actually happening behind the scenes and change my actions. Because right now we can't change what's happening with the labels and everything, but we all have the individual capacity to not feed into it, to not buy these things. It's a lie. It's a lie. And I don't think people are, I don't know. What do you think, Jane? Do you really believe that people know that those labels are a lie? Or are they really convinced that no, cage-free means that they are happy? Grass-fed, they're actually eating grass. Because I remember showing someone a video of those cows being called grass-fed. Like that's these cows were being grass-fed, and it was like a dumpster truck dumping, I don't know what kind of grass that was. And they're like, I'm like, that's grass-fed, and their minds were blown.
I don't think we can generalize about every person's reaction being the same. There's different people. I would say we at Unchained TV aim for what I call the veg curious, the people who identify as animal lovers, the people who want to improve their health. 2/3 of Americans are overweight or obese, and colorectal cancer is skyrocketing, dementia, early onset dementia is skyrocketing, which is the most feared disease of all, even beyond heart attacks. People don't want to become mentally incapacitated. So also people who are quote unquote environmentalists. We aim to try to show people that there's a better way to align their values with their actions and that it's not a sacrifice. We have to appeal to people's self-interest. I use the alcohol analogy. Again, I'm hopefully April 1st, 31 years sober. I mean, I used to think that alcohol was my solution. It was actually my problem. Okay. So it's the same thing with meat and dairy. They think it's their solution when it's actually the problem. And so if we can allow them to have a moment of clarity, that's what happened to me. I had a moment of clarity, which I call a miracle, where I realized I'm not going to say I won't drink tonight. I said, I don't have to drink tonight. It was a complete psychic shift that happened like this. And I do say I never believed in miracles until then, because I had said every night, I'm not going to drink. I was one of these, typical old-fashioned journalist, lush types. I never drank before work, but after work, packing it in.
I could only imagine you with a few drinks in you. Holy shit.
I mean, after you're getting upset and you're like, what the fuck? You want to get a couple of drinks, I'm sure.
I mean, I'm sure you were a very good time.
I was that person at the party, And anyway, so that was a psychic shift for me. And what we try to do is allow people to have that psychic shift where they realize this is not a sacrifice. This is a blessing. This is going to expand your life. This is going to make you more joyous. They say my worst day sober is better than my best day drunk. I'd say my worst day as a vegan is better than my best day pre-vegan.
Well, speaking of alcohol and certain industries that push products on people and use marketing, and we look at the tobacco industry and how these industries that are really, really bad for people have managed to
very popular, very successful.
Be very successful. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about some of the parallels that we've seen throughout history with tobacco, big oil, alcohol, and the meat and dairy industries?
Absolutely. My dad died of cancer and he smoked Pall Malls, and so that was what everybody did. He was your classic Mad Men advertising executive. And with an agency on Madison Avenue, it's exactly the same. In fact, some of the same companies are involved in marketing, this false marketing. And I have to just refer you back to How Not to Die, which is streaming on Unchained TV, because they go in depth into the parallels between how doctors were used to market tobacco back in the day. And the same thing is happening now with doctors, some of them being basically either seduced or inspired by greed to promote meat and dairy and ignorance, because doctors don't get a lot of training in nutrition. They get very little training in nutrition. So they're trained to see a disease develop and then medicate it or operate on it.
Right.
And they also go in, I mean, it's such an interesting documentary. It's based on the best-selling book by Dr. Michael Greger that's been translated into a gazillion languages, possibly Pig Latin, I'm not sure. But
I could probably do
a lot
that.
of languages. And it's it explains everything. If you want how not to die, if you want to live a long life and not get cancer and not get heart disease. Now, we never talk about cures and we never talk about answering everybody's problems. Obviously, we don't want to go there. But in terms of giving educational information about prevention of the worst tortures in life, which is something like dementia, heart disease, cancer, this film is eye-opening.
I need to watch it. I need to watch it. I just have to go back and like touch on what you said because it's so true. And I wish people had more faith because there is literally something that happens when you are actively trying to see the world for what it is and like know what happens to these animals and how you're playing a part to it. And I wish people didn't give up on themselves and the animals so quickly because literally there is a moment where like something in your brain just like clicks and you're like, holy shit, this, and you're kind of like shocked within yourself that it took you however long to like actually like let it hit you. But it's like, you can't predict when that happens. We don't know if that's going to happen to you the moment you decide to go vegan. 3 months into your veganism, 3 years, like it just happens. And like, I'm glad that you had that moment with alcohol and you had it with veganism. And like, people just don't understand to like give yourself the grace of letting yourself be okay with like, you don't have to, like, you don't need to, you can. It's like you have that option and it's a beautiful option, and let your brain also catch up and adapt and like let it all connect.
Okay, let me give you an example. And again, I use the parallel to alcohol because it's such a great parallel. When I got sober, I thought, all right, I'll never watch the sunset again because I used to watch the sunset with a glass of wine. I'll never go to a party again. I'll never karaoke again. Well, I didn't karaoke a whole heck of a lot, to be honest. And then I'll never have fun again.
Right. That's what people think about veganism.
Right.
You know me. I have more fun now than I ever did. And I actually remember it.
Yeah.
That part.
I don't have to call my friends and have a damage assessment meeting anymore.
I'm done.
Okay. So
Jane's also a comedian. She's also a comedian.
Thing with giving up meat and dairy. People say, well, I'll never be able to go to a restaurant again. I'll never be able to go to a party again. It's all BS. You'll go to the parties and you'll be a shining example of nonviolence and have more fun and feel better about yourself. And when you put your head on your pillow, you will know that you're not responsible for keeping pigs in gestation crates the size of their bodies, never able to turn around, that they go mad chomping on the bars. Mm-hmm. That is torture. And anybody who's eating animals is subsidizing torture.
Right.
Yeah.
You can look at the videos. People don't want to look at the videos.
I know.
But they're there. They're on Unchained TV. We have a lot of fun stuff. Your shows, vegan cooking shows, award-winning vegan cooking shows. But we also have the reality, the truth. If you want to, for a lot of people, it only takes 5 minutes. They see the start of Earthlings and they go, okay, I'm not going to participate in that anymore.
The reality and truth is where things are at on Unchained TV and should be everywhere. And we want to know, like, do you think that the meat industry is going to be forced into honesty? Because nowadays we are seeing that undercover investigations are coming out. It is harder for them to conceal the truth. And there are documentaries, there are really smart, amazing people. There's doctors that are coming out with this information showing that a plant-based diet is healthier, it's more sustainable, it's ethical. The question is, do you think the future of food will force the meat industry to shift towards honesty, or will the evolution of PR simply become more sophisticated and harder to detect? Because you look at AI and deciphering what's real, what's not real. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's kind of interesting because you kind of posed that question, Jamie, in our documentary, The Climate Healers, that's about to be released. And Dr. Rao answered it brilliantly. And he said, it's not about telling people you are wrong. It's about developing a new system. Okay. We have a horrible system when it comes to food. We throw away 40% of our food, and yet there are hundreds of millions, literally, of people who are suffering malnutrition and dying of starvation on this planet. So when people say to me, well, I care about people, I say, so do I. I care about people who are starving because we're feeding more than 90, a huge, overwhelming percentage of all soy grown to farmed animals, which is producing a very small percentage of meat in return. Whereas if we diverted all the food that we're feeding 85 to 90 billion animals that we kill every year to people, we could live in a world of natural abundance where everybody has all the food they need. So it's really about developing a new system. And I honestly believe that is going to happen unless we are a phenomenally stupid species, because have an approaching climate apocalypse, and animal agriculture, which is given planet Earth a buzz cut when trees absorb carbon. If we could, according to the plant-based treaty, which I'm a part of, reduce to eliminate animal agriculture and then reforest all the cattle grazing land and all the land that's used to grow commodity crops to feed 80 to 90 billion land animals that we kill every year, those new forests would absorb carbon. Trees absorb carbon. Okay. So if we had a better forested planet, the trees would be absorbing the carbon. We'd immediately begin to start reducing the global temperatures to pre-industrial levels. This is the solution that the UN doesn't talk about at all.
Jane for president. Jane for president. That's it. That's it. You are the solution, Jane. I wish more people had the passion that you do with facts, because people love to be like, well, what percentage? What? You know, like, you freaking back it up, and people still refuse to listen to the truth.
The numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, and I really hope people really watch this episode, because like, you have the facts, they have the entertainment, they have the dark truth, they have the vegan options, all on Unchained TV. You are literally giving the people what they need to know at the tips of their the tips of their fingers.
After this episode, they are going to know that the media can have the power to control you, or you can step aside, you can question the system, and you can be part of the change.
Mm-hmm.
The first step to undoing your own brainwashing is to ask yourself, am I being brainwashed? Am I being conditioned? Am I being told to march in lockstep so that billionaires can get more profit? Am I really
stupid?
A sucker?
Right.
Am I not stupid? A sucker.
A sucker.
I was a sucker for alcohol. Other people are a sucker for meat and dairy. And you're not operating in your own self-interest.
Yeah,
No,
definitely not in your higher self.
Just this word brainwashing, it's come up this morning. I was just looking through some comments, and this comment was posted on a picture of me speaking to a classroom of high school students. And the person commented, stop brainwashing these children.
Right.
And I'm like, they have been brainwashed
already
from the moment they were born into this world,
right,
to be having these animal products forced down their throats. And I am simply just
giving them options.
Offering a kinder approach to living. I'm
right,
offering and just showing that there is another way, that you don't have to be part of that.
Right.
So no, this is not brainwashing. Kindness is actually, I think it's just connecting people to more of who they really are. It's
that
connecting
part.
People's empathy with their actions.
Exactly.
So brainwashing is, we are stepping out of a cult when we go vegan.
I just want to say one last thing. I was at Expo West and I came upon a company that is a meat company that is producing a whole bunch of plant-based products. And the guy said to me, well, we see the handwriting on the wall. We've decided to jump in on this. And I really want to follow up and do a whole story on them, because that is the future. These companies have to realize with climate change, raising animals is becoming increasingly medieval. I mean, we see it right now with drought, with fire, with flood. It's really becoming harder and harder to raise 80 billion animals, and it's impossible to do it kindly. I have 2 dogs. I have to cajole them out of the house this morning. I say, I got a podcast. Come on, girls. You know, imagine when you're trying to move, 100,000 animals, how difficult that is. You can't do it gently.
And you can't keep them clean. You can't keep them healthy. And people forget that is all disease. If we're caring about health, they're like, well, that's over processed, like you said. I'm like, are you kidding me? Those animals that you're eating, the 50 plus, 100 plus in that one burger, you know how much disease is in there? You are lucky if you don't show the signs now. People think if they don't show the signs now, they're not obese now, they're not diseased now, that's not going to catch up to them.
They're eating poop.
I'm like, literally.
Poop.
Well, just the idea that in one burger, you're biting the body parts of 150 different souls, different animals.
Bro, that's insane.
So nauseating to me. And the thing is that once you make that shift, you start, instead of salivating, it's just like,
Seriously.
So I invite everybody, try it, and see how you feel differently. Just like I thought I was going to be miserable when I got sober, all of a sudden this pink cloud came over me and I was like, I'm free.
I love
my
that.
God, because it wasn't a matter of willpower. I had the dichotomy of any kind of psychic shift is that the only power you have is to realize you're powerless. I tried negotiating with it. Oh, I'm only gonna drink on weekends. I'm only gonna drink after blah, 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 blah. I'm only have wine. If you can never successfully negotiate with a substance, a person, or behavior, you're an addict. And the only power you have is the power to realize you're powerless and walk away. It's the same thing with meat and dairy. You're going to try to negotiate with, I'm going to, blah, 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 I'm going to, blah, 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 blah. No, because in there is casein, which is addictive. Why is it addictive? Because Mother Nature wants the baby cows to drink the mama's milk. So it puts a very addictive substance in there. So what do? We forcibly impregnate the cows, rape them, then we steal the baby, stick them in hutches or shoot them or put them in veal crates. And then we combine all that into something called cheese, which is highly addictive. Then we eat it. Then we say, I can never give it up because I love cheese. You love the addictive nature of casein.
Addiction.
And you could still have cheese.
You could still have cheese.
Vegan cheese.
And who wants to be addicted to anything? Unfortunately, I feel like I'm addicted to love, and addiction in general is bad. That's not a healthy balance. But thank you so much, Jane. We could talk forever. You are the best, and we appreciate you more than you know. I love you. You are incredible. And
yes, Jane, really, thank you.
I love you guys
we
so
love
much.
you. Everybody go check out Unchained TV. Oh, what is that?
You can that's you talking on. You have so many shows on this network. Every time I tap on a video, there's
that's
but you can download this free right on your phone. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. Okay, this is free. It's safe, and you can literally text these to people. If you like a video like Green Goddesses Take New York that they're starring in, you could text it.
Yes. Amazing. Well, everybody's going to go download it and follow you on Instagram at Unchained TV. And until next time, Jane, we'll see you around. Thank you for joining us. Mwah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
It's super interesting to get the perspective of somebody that was in the media for so long, because when we look at addictions, it's so easy to fall into being an addict for animal products because it's forced on us through marketing.
For sure. I knew that since I was a kid. I mean, I had a major eating disorder. Maybe another time we'll get into that. But like, I knew I was addicted because my tank of love for animals was not enough for me to stop hurting them. And that is like a telltale sign. If you can't stop something, I could stop it if I want to. No, stop it because you should, like that matters. And like Jane's our industry is so important because it is very scary. She nailed something that's like so truthful. Like these companies, they are all intertwined. The like alcohol, the food, the drugs, they're all a part of the same top person. And it's very, very hard to change the people who are funding these things to stop advertising their other companies. So like that, of course, when you watch something, it's all about burgers, wings, alcohol, drugs. They're like, if you're feeling this, I'm like, what toxic programming? Like we're talking about all these diseases that you might have. Here's this drug but you might have all these other symptoms I'm like, are we listening or are we not? Like we're just, and it's going in our brain. I'm like, dang, They are in charge.
Yeah, it's also normalized, like on these programs, you know, you just see, a gallon of milk in somebody's fridge, and it's dangerous when we don't question it. And also then the commercials that come up afterwards, the pharmaceuticals, it's so funny. Jane and I actually joke about this all the time, where it's like, okay, take this pill to cure your heart disease and experience the side effects of explosive diarrhea, green things coming out of your armpits. Yeah. You then start just shouting things because you can't stop. Like whatever the side effect is, it's insane.
Yeah, and then the next one is like, burger, and you're like, bro, what the? I wish people could just use their critical thinking. Like we are trapped in a crazy world, and like, unfortunately, Jane, yes, we need a new system. But what you can do right now is stop participating in it. It is crazy because it's going to be all around you, 100%. But we need enough people to be using their critical thinking skills so that we have the power to show that the demand is for a better, kinder, healthier, peaceful world.
That's all we're promoting here. It's also, we don't make money by telling you, go vegan, save the planet, don't hurt animals.
I would be more annoying about it. Yeah. I'd be like, bah!
Right. But these industries that hurt animals, they make a shit ton of money.
And they don't care about you. They don't care about you. Like when she was like, oh, this meat company, now they're doing vegan. That's great and all, but please understand that they're following the money. They're following the money, the trend. And it's like, just let that, buy the vegan product, but let that show you that it's not about the product. They don't give a shit about that. They just want to, where the money goes is where their freaking company will flow. That's it.
So after today's episode, Justina,
I'm pissed.
What I learned is that it really goes to show the extent that these companies will go to using any sort of marketing term, using any sort of buzzword, just to get the public thinking that something ethical happens, when really not all of it is true.
Yeah.
So should we quiz each other a little bit?
Oh,
I want to just make sure
you could quiz me.
You were paying attention.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. What was the name of the man who...
No, I'm not going to remember. I don't remember names like that. Sorry.
This is a well-known man who helped Jane go vegan. He went on her show, and he was a cattle rancher who turned against his industry, and I
remember
Oprah.
The story. Yeah, and then got a lawsuit, all that stuff. I don't remember his name. This is why I was a great talker in class. I used to be like, blah, 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 blah. And then it came to the test. I was like, oh, fuck.
I'm sure you were.
Yeah. I was like, wait. I could give a crap about his name, but I know everything that he did. I can stand up for his mission, but like, who is it? Mark or Max? Okay.
Is that your final answer?
Mark is my final answer. Maybe a W last name?
There's a W in his name, in his first name.
Matthew.
What? Oh, yeah, I guess there is a W.
That is a W. What the hell? I don't know. Tell me.
Howard Lyman.
Was not going to do that.
Well, he's a very interesting guy. And
Howard Lyman.
He's the one that went on Oprah. And Oprah.
I heard her say that. You're like, he's the one. I'm like, I know that part. But I just didn't know his name.
That was a huge deal. That was the first time people spoke out against the beef industry.
Yeah, and then they silenced you after that.
They sued her, yeah.
And I feel like I'm being silenced. I know. I know I'm being silenced.
How are you being silenced? You talk more than anyone I know.
That's funny because you talk more than anyone I know.
I don't feel like I'm being silenced on the show,
well,
though.
I feel like I'm being silenced in a sense of like in my acting industry. I feel like I'm a problem because the companies that are funding the show are the ones I'm against. So because I'm so outspoken, I could be vegan, they don't care. But because I'm like, and like it's always a topic, they're like, this bitch is a problem. If our people who are funding this see this girl who's like the lead in the show, they're like, she's a conflict.
So you think that they're not hiring you because...
I think it plays into it because the world is all about social media. It's all about numbers. It's about money. I'm not going to advertise their sister companies
Right.
of being like, yeah, and also it's going to be unlimited wings on Wednesdays. I'm not going to be doing that.
Yeah, you think about some of the other celebrities like Billie Eilish or Joaquin Phoenix, like they have to be careful about
But they
what they
didn't
say.
start that way.
Right. They reached a certain point in their career where then they
Their
were
fan
able
base
to, yeah.
were loyal to them. They had millions of people that were like, love your work, love. And then they were like, oh, this is who you are underneath that. I was parallel. And then at a certain point, the animal stuff is kind of peaked forward. And so it's tricky. But at the end of the day, like, we never know about life. And so I'd rather be on the right side of history and like know, like Jane said, I could go to sleep and know that I am no longer participating in the abuse that's happening to these animals. Like, there's no way. I already can't sleep. You think like now I'm gonna be like, the piggies, why can't I stop eating bacon? Like, ew. Discipline, y'all. That's like my word of the year is discipline. If you don't have discipline, like, you're gonna run into a lot of problems. Health, work, relationships, nonstop.
And I think the more that people look into the industries and the more you know, the further you run.
Yeah.
And so the problem is it's very easy to kind of close your eyes and go along with what the rest of the world is doing. But when you begin to question things and you actually do your research, you, number one, become more confident in speaking up and eloquently talking about these problems. But also, number two, it becomes like, I can't not say something. And becomes something. It becomes a part of like, well, I want to be part of trying to create this change, and it can be a very beautiful thing. You're not sacrificing, as Jane said. It's just you're seeing the world through a new set of glasses.
Yeah, and you'll see like in every episode, there's different approaches. Some people are like, don't be so harsh, and other people are like, give it to them hard. So it's like you can decide how you want to go about, you know, what kind of vegan you will be. You don't have to even talk about it. As long as you're doing it, that's all that matters. And like, help other people learn while you're doing it.
I think the golden rule here too is that if you see a word like humane,
Right.
if you see a word like sustainable, if you see a word like free range, or they use something like tuna, dolphin safe tuna packages, like,
I can't. You're serious?
When you see these words attached to any industry that uses animals,
Red flag
immediately. And please recognize and understand that all these industries care about is profit and money. And as soon as there is money being made, they are not worried about the treatment of the animals.
No.
They are worried about their profit and how can they use and exploit them to whatever end of the end of the earth. Like, what can I do to make the most out of this animal? Because they do have thin profit margins. So that is the golden rule. Question, if you take anything away from this episode, please question these terms and push back, and maybe even launch an investigation at these places. But follow the money, and I promise you, it will always lead you to the slaughterhouse. How can something ever be ethical or humane that happens there?
It can't.
Right.
It can't. But you have the power.
Right.
There are, like Jane said, there's so many amazing new options, vegan alternatives, and I think we said it in another episode. Don't let one product be the taste of all of them. There are many different types of cheeses, many different types of ice creams, many different types of vegan chicken. So like, explore. It's like the most exciting time to like do what's right. And like, we have our phones, just Google.
Easy. Well, I love exploring and questioning the system with you, darling. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. Please go follow the podcast, JSYK podcast on Instagram.
Follow us on all streaming platforms, wherever you could get your podcast. Please like, comment, share. If you thought it was funny, if you like Jamie's shirt, comment it. It all helps with the algorithm. You know what I mean? And our mission is to get this message out as much as possible. I mean, last season we had a lot of people that became vegan from just watching or hearing about one episode. So you could make your act of kindness by just sharing it.
We are in this together, you guys. I'm at It's Jamie's Corner.
I'm at Justina.
And you know the drill. We'll be back.
We'll be back. We'll be back.